Hello, I'm Channa Bankapur from GoMaster Technologies. Today I'm going to discuss dynamic programming solution derivation for the problem edit distance. It's a popular problem with many applications. The problem is available on LeetCode 2. I'm going to discuss solution and code and run directly in LeetCode. So the problem definition is as follows. We have two words or strings, word 1 and word 2. We need to find the minimum number of operations required to convert from word 1 to word 2. In a way, we need to transform word 1 to word 2 using the following three operations. The operations are inserting a character into the target word directly, or deleting a character from the source word, or replacing a character in the source word with the character in the target word. So we have some example here. Suppose we have a word which is HORSC. We want to transform this into ROS. One of the possible ways of doing that is modify or replace the first character with R. So we are going to have something like this, and then delete the middle character. So we are going to have something like this, and then delete the last character so that we get ROS. So we got it done by with just three operations. And it happens that we cannot actually do this transformation for this example with lesser than three operations, and hence three is the answer. And we don't have to do it in the same order. We could do it using this order also. Suppose I can delete E so that I get HORS, and then delete R so that I have HOS, and then modify or replace H with R, so I get ROS. It is the same operations but done it in a reverse way. Uh, so we can do it in any way so that we get the target word with the minimum number of operations, right? I'm going to go with this approach, the latter approach, where I start dealing with the characters in the end. Let's see how does it go. So I'm going to use an approach which is using what is called a recursion tree, or it resembles something called state space tree. So I'm going to use this idea so that we can come up with the recurrence, which is essentially going to lead to the most efficient solution eventually. So the method goes this way. We would like to transform the word horse to ROS. This is the source word and target word, and F is my optimization function. It's going to return me that minimum possible value, the optimal value. That is the minimum number of operations required, right? So we would like to try exhaustively all possibilities, and all possibilities can be looked at as just dealing with the last two characters here. One way of dealing with that is we can modify the character E to S so that we are going to go nearer to the target word. So this is first operation. If we modify that, it is going to cost us one operation, and the remaining problem we need to solve is we need to somehow transform HORS to RO, right? That's exactly what we are doing here. Or the other possibility is we delete the character from the source word so that it doesn't appear anymore, and that is going to require one operation, and the remaining problem we need to solve is transform HORS to ROS. Similarly, the other possible operation is we are going to insert S into the target word directly so that S is kind of appended there, and we need to solve a problem which is going to be this one, right? Where we need to transform HORSC to RO so that S is kind of already available at the end, right? So these are the three possibilities. We are going to exhaustively cover all the three possibilities, and whichever returns with the minimum value in terms of the operations, we are going to consider that, right? So this is exhaustive in nature in that sense, right? So now if I just extend this example further to all possibilities, so I'm the left side here, if you see, there are again three possibilities here because we are dealing with the same optimization problem called F, right? So we consider all the three cases of modify, delete, and insert, right? So I'm not going to go into details of that. Look at the middle case, which is more interesting. We have both of these characters which are same, right? So when they're same, it doesn't. So uh, there is no point in actually replacing this character S with S, which doesn't make sense. So we don't need an operation. We can just have that S and then solve for the problem HOR transforming it into RO, right? Because S is kind of appended to that anyway, because which is already there, right? You don't have to do anything. So it doesn't need this plus one thing. right? We don't need that part. And also I'm excluding the other two possibilities of, inserting a character here, the same character at the end here, or deleting this end character and then solving for this problem. We are not considering those two cases because we are we can actually prove that there is a proof which is going to essentially lead to a greedy approach in this particular case. When the last two characters are same, we are being greedy and consider only this case and not consider the other two cases, because the other two cases are never going to be better than this one case, right? And that's what we are trying to do here. And the third case, again, we are dealing with all the three operations, and then you can figure it out, right? Instead of writing the whole thing, I'm going to just explore the middle possibility here. So again, there because R and O are different, we need to explore all the three possibilities here. We are exploring in the similar way, and so I don't think there are any new things to discuss there. But again, look at the middle case here. So here again, O and O are similar, the last characters. So it's a match case. When it is a match case, as we have seen, I'm only going to solve for f of h comma r, because it's all about transforming h to r, so that O is just being there, right? So it's not gonna cost anything, right? So if you look at h comma r, so there are these three possibilities. One is modify h to r, that is one operation, and then we have null strings, right? Both of them are empty strings, so that's not going to require anything. So the cost of this one should be zero, right? And similarly, if you delete operation, so you're going to delete this h, so that it takes one operation and then you're transforming empty string to r, so that is going to require another insert operation. Put together, this is going to cost us 2. Similarly, the third one, insert operation, again is going to cost us 1 plus 1, which is going to be 2. So if you see, the leftmost one is going to lead to a more efficient one, right? So if you look at that, these are the answers I'm going to get. So this returns 1, this returns 2, and then this returns 2. Minimum of them is 1. So that's why f of h comma r is going to be 1. That means we just have to replace that h with r. That is just one operation. Similarly, on the left side, if you see, this is also just 1. F of h comma empty is 1, but because of plus 1, it is 2. And this is also 2, we have already seen. And this is going to be 3. Look at this, there is 1 here, and then h and o, both of them need to be deleted because the target word is empty, right? So if you figure out, all of these cases are going to be like that. So this is going to return 2, one of them, and then we have a 2 here. Again, there's a match, right? If you see further, these are the values that are being returned here, right? So now what happens is, at the top we have 3 here, which is the result of this, and that is going to be returned, and 3 is the answer, right? So if you observe, this path actually gave me the optimal answer, which is uh, if you go from the bottom, it is basically one modification, which is h to r. That's the first character we saw, and then there's a matching of o and o. We don't have to do anything, and then again there is a deletion of this character r, right? And then there's a match of s and s, and finally there is a deletion of this character e, right? So these are the three things we have seen, three operations, right? If you look at it from bottom to top, if you look at from top to bottom, that's the same operation in reverse order, right? So this approach is going to give me an answer exhaustively. So if I want to generalize this one, I'm going to write it in short form. F of m comma n essentially represents the optimal value, which is the minimum number of operations required to transform the source word that has m characters to the target word that has n characters, right? So if the last symbols of both of these strings are same, if they match, then we just have to solve for f of m minus 1 comma n minus 1. That is going to be the answer. If they don't match, then we have three possibilities. We need to take the minimum of them, right? One is replace, or delete, or then insert, right? So looking at this one, we can know what is the recurrence. So I'm going to write the recurrence now, and we can also figure out the base cases here. So base cases in this case are when m is 1, m is 0, or n is 0. So when m is 0, what does it mean is we are transforming an empty string to a string of n characters. That means we need n insertions, right? So when n is 0, we are going to transform a string of m characters to an empty string. That means we're going to need m deletions, right? So these are the operations, and that's going to be the cost. All right. So now we can implement this pretty much as it is naively. And if this recursion tree resembles the state space tree, the naive implementation of this one is going to resemble the backtracking implementation, right? So that's what I'm going to show here. How does it look like? So let's implement it. I have already coded that, and this is how it looks like, right? So look at this one. I haven't done anything more here. So there is m, which is the length of the source word, and n is the length of the target word. So I needed basically a different signature of the function. I needed this m and n to be passed so that these m and n becomes parameters here. Then recursively I can pass something lesser also. Essentially, I'm going to not modify the word itself, which is a string. Otherwise, I'm going to modify this length so that we have to deal with only the first m characters of word one and first n characters of word two, right? So if m is 0, n is the answer. If n is 0, m is the answer, right? So that's how those are the base cases. And this is a case where the last characters of both words are same. In that case, we just have to deal with f of m minus 1 and n minus 1. Otherwise, we are going to find these three possibilities: modify, delete, and insert. We take the minimum of those three and then add one, because each of them costs us one operation, right? So if you, this is a straightforward implementation of the recurrence and a naive implementation. So it should work, as in there is no difficulty here, right? So it worked for the simple case. Let me take a case with little, an example which looks expensive. So this actually may not even run in a short amount of time. It gave me TLE error. So that means it is taking a lot of time. Why? Because this method is going to take exponential time. I'm not going to get into the proof. It takes at least 2 to the power of, say, min of m comma n time, right? So this is not even the time complexity in general. This is just the lower bound time complexity, right? That means that actual time complexity is going to be more than this one. So that means it is clearly exponential. That's why it is not, it's not going to even run for a simple example with 20 to 30 characters in both, word one and word two, right? So can we improve this one? If you look at the way the recurrence is, we actually can improve this one. So look at what does it mean by it takes exponential time is there are exponential number of nodes in the state space tree we have, and each node in the state space tree is going to be a function f we need to solve, right? So that means there are like exponential number of nodes in this tree, and we are solving exponential number of such function f's or instances of function f. But are there so many functions, function f calls? If you look at f of m comma n, what are the possible values of m and n? M is the size of our string, word one, and n is this size of our word two. The first parameter, if you say I, it's going to run from 0 to m, and second parameter j is going to run from 0 to n. So that means we have like m plus 1 times n plus 1 instances of f function that needs to be solved, but we are solving exponential number of them. This is only quadratic, right? So roughly m into n. If you consider m equal to 0 and n equal to 0 are base cases, the non-base cases, there are only n number of non-base cases. So if we, that, what does it mean is we are essentially in that backtracking method or naive implementation, we are actually solving some problems multiple times. That means there is overlapping of problems, right? So how do we avoid that? A simple technique is don't solve a problem multiple times. That means you need to remember a problem that is being solved. Problem is an instance of function f. That we need to remember that so that we don't have to solve it multiple times. So how do we do that? Um, so we can use a simple table, like a table like this, so that all of these possible instances of f of m comma n, right? We have seen that it starts from 0 comma 0 to m comma n, right? So these are like there are m plus 1 cross n plus 1 entries in this table, right? And each of them is an instance of the function f, right? So if we can remember the answer here, we don't have to solve it multiple times, right? So this table, informally people call this table as a DP table because it kind of leads to dynamic programming solution. So, and this solution should be better than the exponential time taking solution we have seen earlier. And we can also figure out the base cases of this one are when m is 0 or n is 0. So we have seen already, right? So these are basically the base cases of m and n, right? So now the other cases are basically need to be computed. What we can do is we can initialize them to some value which is not going to be a valid value anyway. So -1 is never going to be an answer. So I'm going to just assign -1 to all of these non-base cases, so that we need to know that it is not yet computed. What we need is we want to compute this cell, which is f of m comma n, right? But because it is not computed, we are going to recursively call that. And if a cell is already computed, suppose if this is computed by some other way, and then if you access that from a different way, and if it is already solved, we can just access that value, right? We don't have to solve multiple times. All right. So let's use this method and then code this one accordingly, right? So for this example, if you see here, it is going to be just these three. So we have the source word that has 5 characters and destination or target word that has 3 characters. So that's how we have a table of 6 cross 4. All right. And base cases are going to be like this. And when you solve, finally your table should look like this, right? Look at this. The first row is all about inserts, and the first column is all about only deletes. And if you fill up everything, your answer is going to be easier, which is 3. We already know for this problem, right? So how did we use this table and then compute it, right? That's the code which looks like here. If you observe here what happened in this case, so this is the main the public method we had. Word 1, word 2 are inputs. We found m and n, and then in this whole thing I'm preparing the DP table, right? Initializing DP table, where this is allocation of the table, and then this is these two this line is a base case, and even this is also a base case where if it is f of m comma 0. But otherwise, for rest of them, it is going to be initialized to -1, as we have seen. And then I'm going to call this function just like early old times. So this function, this is a recursive function. It's a helper function I have here, and it's going to work in the similar lines as the backtracking solution. The only difference here is if the problem is already solved, I'm going to directly return from the table. So if that entry is not -1, that means it must have already been solved, because -1 is that initial value. So if it is not solved, I'm going to do this here, except I don't have to handle the base case because it's already initialized. I'm just looking for the recurrence here. If last letters are same, this is the answer. Otherwise, I'm going to compute these 3 and then take the min and then update the table so that it doesn't have to be solved multiple times, right? So this looks like again the same method as earlier, just that an instance of the function is not going to be solved multiple times, right? So that's why this part of the code is going to be executed only mn number of times. Why? Because there are only m into n number of entries that are -1, and once that you come here, it's going to be assigned with some value which is not -1, and so we are not going to come into this because of this condition. So that means the overall time complexity is going to be big of mn, right? And space also big of mn for the table. We also need space for stack, which is going to be big of m plus n, right? So let's quickly run this. This should at least run in time. It should not give TLE error. Let me run for that example I had, which had an issue with the backtracking method. So this worked here, and if I submit, it should accept, right? So yeah, it accepted. All right. So it took some 12 milliseconds, and we'll analyze the time later, right? Now, if you see, there is one more issue here. The issue is if you look at this example again, maybe this one. So f of mn. So how do we make it bottom up? That's the question here. So we in the top down, the memoization method essentially is top down method. We started from here, and whatever it needed, we started computing it. Because it was -1, we called them recursively. And in the worst case, we called these 3 things recursively. F of m -1 comma n -1 for modification or replacement, or f of m minus 1 comma n or f of m comma n minus 1, right? These three functions are the ones we called, right? And they internally, as in they in turn called other functions, other instances which are not yet solved, right? Until we reach the base cases which are in the first row and first column, all right? So now how do we make it bottom up? The idea of making it bottom up is whatever it depends on. Suppose if f of I depends on some of these three problems, what if these are already computed before you're computing f of I comma j, right? So that can happen if these three are already computed before that. And how do we know that these three should be computed before that, right? If we ensure that we don't have to worry about recursion, we can always access these values directly from some a table here and then use them, right? That's going to compute this f of I comma j in constant time, right? So that, if these are available, that can be done if you follow some order. So if you look at this kind of, the arrows I'm writing here, these are the dependencies. So these dependencies, all the dependencies in this whole DP table form something called a directed acyclic graph. So which shows that whatever a problem depends on should be computed before that, right? So that arrow, so if there is an arrow from I to j, I should be computed before j because j depends on I, right? So that leads to a directed acyclic graph. And if you get a topological order of that of this directed acyclic graph, that order is one of the orders. If you can implement in that order, that's going to be a bottom up way of actually implementing it, because you don't depend on anything when you're computing that. That's the topological order. So in this case, topological order is very simple. The base cases are already ready for, available for you. If you compute them in row major from row 1 to row m, and within a row, if you go from left to right from 1 to n. So in that case, whenever you want to compute f of I comma j, the previous row is already computed, right? So the previous row's value is already available. And because you're going from left to right, even the previous column's value in the same row is also computed, right? So this is f of I comma j minus 1. That's also computed. That means all the three values are already available. This is an acceptable topological order, right? This is not the only order. You can do column major with top down, or you can do diagonally. All of them are acceptable, but this is one easier way of doing it, right? So if you do that way, it's going to be what's called bottom up way of actually computing it. All right. So if you see here, this is what the result we get. And so let's see how the code looks like for that. So this is exactly how it looks like. There are no recursions here. Here I basically initialize the table with the base cases, and I don't have to worry about the non-base cases to be initialized, because I'm not going to touch any cell before it is computed. All right. So whenever I'm at I comma j, I'm computing for it, right? I'm not going to access that value anyway. So that's why look at this. When I'm computing dp of I comma j, I only need dp of I minus 1 comma j minus 1, which is here or here, or dp of I minus 1 comma j or I comma j minus 1, right? So those are the three sub problems we need, and they're all available. That's why this part of the code is going to run in big O of 1 time, which is constant time. And that's why this whole thing is big O of mn time algorithm. So time wise, asymptotically we haven't improved. Space also is the same thing, big O of mn for the DP table, just that we don't need stack space for recursion, right? So that's how asymptotically it looks like the same thing, but this should run a little faster. The reason is we avoid recursions and then do it in a loop. That is going to be more efficient. And also we don't need stack space, right? So that should make it run a little faster, right? So let me quickly see whether it runs okay. So we have only one method, so that should be fine. And then if I run this one, this is accepted. All right. So this is bottom up method. Normally for a dynamic, this is the dynamic programming solution, and the previous one, top down approach, is generally called memoization, right? Or you can call that also as dynamic programming, because the concept is essentially the same. It is just that that is top down and this is bottom up, right? So now, so the space it takes is big O of mn. But in this case, what we are returning is only the optimal value. That is the minimum number of operations required, right? So what if, because we don't need an optimal solution here, which is the exact sequence of, those operations, can we reduce the space required for DP table, right? So that's the idea I'm basically thinking over. So again, if you see this table here, when I'm computing, let's say this case, when I'm computing say f of I comma j, I need the previous rows, right? These two values and then this value, which is in the same row. I don't need any values in that, I minus 2 row. I only need I minus 1 row and ith row when I'm in ith row. I don't need any row from 0 to I minus 2 when I'm in ith row, right? So, and also none of these rows after I are yet used, right? So that I don't have to remember at the moment. And then when I'm done with ith row, when I go to I plus 1 row, what I need is, I only need ith row because that is going to be the previous row and I plus 1 is going to be the current row. So I don't need I minus 1 row. I can discard that, right? So that's why I just need a kind of a window of two rows at any point of time, and where the previous row is the first of that one, first row of that window, and the current row is going to be the second row of that window. And when I'm done with that computation of the current row, I'm going to slide this window by one, so that the current row becomes the previous row and the next row becomes the current row, right? So if we can do this way, we can save the space, right? Instead of taking m plus 1 rows, we are going to need only 2 rows, right? Columns are not going to change. That's why your space complexity is going to reduce to just big O of n, which is the number of columns, right? It doesn't depend on number of rows at all, right? So that's the idea here. So with that idea, if you see here, this code, I have done it with a little bit of a trick here. The trick is, I'm just coding in the same way, just like earlier. Just the small changes are, instead of being m plus 1 rows, I have 2 rows here, right? If you observe, there is a 2. This is in place of m plus 1, right? That is the savings in terms of space. And I initialize the first row here because that is the 0th row. When I equal to 1, I'm going to be dealing with the row number 1 as the current row, right? I equal to 1, that is good, right? So in that case, I equal to 0 is going to be the previous row. When I becomes 2, I equal to 1 should be the previous row, and then I equal to 2 should be the current row, right? So what I do is, I always take the mod 2, so that when I'm at odd row, when it is 1 or 3 or something like that, the previous row is going to be even row, right? So this is my window. When I'm processing at the even row, the previous row is going to be the odd row, which is just, which was the current row in the previous iteration, right? So that's why I can just use the two rows with this, mod 2 operation, and the code is pretty much the same as the older code, just that if wherever I'm accessing the row, I'm accessing with mod 2 here. If you observe, I have mod 2 everywhere. Even look at the final solution, I'm returning dp of m comma n, where m is m mod 2, right? Because I'm accessing whether that is even or odd, depending on that. That's going to be the latest row, right? So this should work. It should take the same time. It might take even a little more time because of the mod operations, but that's not significant. But space savings should be significant. So let me submit that directly, and it should work, right? So it has accepted, right? So it has accepted all of them, and let me try to compare the times of all these 3 or 4 submissions. Actually, the first one I didn't submit because it was a TLE. But if you look at this is TLE because of the first backtracking solution. But look at the last 3 here. These 3 solutions are one is because of this is memoization, this is DP straightforward, and this is DP with space, lesser space. See, these times are not so believable because it's already so less, and depending on the little bit random test cases, we get different times. But yeah, generally this time should be little lesser than this time, right? Because of making it bottom up, right? And look at this implementation. From memory of 9.1 MB, we reduced to 6.8. That's a savings mostly because of the DP table savings, right? So that savings is consistent. I have done it like multiple times. Look at these things. All of these are with that lesser space, right? So they are always significantly lesser than the previous, all right? So I think with this, the solution of this one should be understood. Let's see whether you have any questions. But I'm going to do one. I'm going to pose one question to you. So I have one more question, which is similar to this in some way. So where there are two strings, the only operations allowed is you can delete either from the first string or the second string, so that you want to make it equal at some point. And what is that minimum number of such deletions so that you make both of these strings same, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll ask you to find out how to solve it. But instead of that, what I'm going to do is, it is very similar signature. I'm going to just copy paste this code and do very minimal change to this, and this should work, right? Let's see what was the last solution we had, which is here, right? Which is that final solution I had. Look at this one. So I'm going to just copy paste this code and make very minimal change, and see the magic. It should work. Okay. So okay, what are the changes I'm going to do is, I'll just comment out this line, the modify thing, and I'll just remove this modify part because I just removed that line, right? So I'm going to have only insert and delete here, and let's see whether it works, right? And let me see submitting it. It accepted, right? So the only change I did is I kind of removed this line with modify, and then wherever this modify was in this case, in the line number 19, I removed that modify part, and then it just worked, right? So let me know why it works and what is that similarity you can draw from the previous solution, right? If you understood the method, and this should be kind of very clear to you, right? That is my question to you. And if you have any other questions, suggestions, please, write it down in the comments along with the solution. All right. And I have one more bonus question for you. So let me copy this solution and open another problem. It's called longest common subsequence. It's an extremely popular problem for dynamic programming. In short, it's called LCS. Mostly all of you already know that. Let me make a few changes here, because the input has text1 and text2 instead of word1 and word2. I'm going to change that first. So wherever word is present, I'm going to just change into text. So I think there are two other places here. All right. So now, other than this, I'm going to change the base cases from some other value to 0. And instead of just copying in this equal case, I'm going to add one. And I do not add one in these cases where I insert or delete. So instead of minimizing, I'm going to maximize, because it's the longest common subsequence, and see whether it works. It worked here. Let me submit. It accepted. So the question is same. How did this work, and how is this similar to the previous two problems? It's not just these two. There are so many variations of this edit distance. If you open the Wikipedia page of edit distance, you're going to see these things. So whatever we solved in edit distance is called Levenshtein distance, where all the three operations are allowed. And whatever we just solved it is called longest common subsequence, and that uses only insertion deletion. And Hamming distance is only is going to only use only substitution. That is not a complicated problem. And there are other problems like other than insertion, deletion, substitution, there is something called transposition, which is essentially swapping two values. And so there are many variations of this. And even you can think of a variation where there might be a different cost for each of these operations. Instead of giving the same cost, like in the problem we considered, we are kind of giving cost as one for both all of them, because all of them are of similar cost. But what if we give different cost? So there are multiple variations. Let me know all of those, whatever your thoughts, in the comments. And if you have any questions or suggestions, please let me know.